So I worry about the indirect impact of the uncertainty that we see. And I would have to say I worry a little bit about inflation and what could happen there, because it could put pressure on our claim costs, particularly as it relates to long-term care. So inflation, care costs could go up. It could put pressure on our claim costs. That's the way I think about it.
It would be, we're speaking to a lot of finance leaders about artificial intelligence today and how it's impacting their businesses and the investments they're looking to make there. It would be interesting to learn about this industry.
You're probably talking about large language models, the AI and large language models. And I can tell you that Genworth we've developed our own AI task force. We see this as we are piloting programs right now. We're experimenting with it, always with a human in the loop. I'm sure you've heard that term before, always with a human in the loop. But we are getting ready and building the capabilities and the governance around this to implement this more broadly in our business. We're experimenting with some things on the finance side and piloting, some finance thing. We'll be looking at maybe a software that we leverage heavily to experiment with. And also we'll be developing and looking at how can AI help us write narrative? How can it help us with the MD&A section of a Q or a K? But those are early stage things that we're working on. I would call those pilots at this point in time.
Yeah. You mentioned this task force. I'm wondering, and again, it's probably too early, but I'll ask the question, do you see new roles emerging to support AI adoption and missions?
I think inevitably you will see that. The one thing that we're learning is how you query these AI tools are very important. And that is a very simple example of how this could influence roles and responsibilities in any organization. You need to understand how to query, and telling it and putting in the right query is very instrumental in the output you get and the quality of what you get.
Just trying to understand how finance is monitoring the adoption of AI in different functional areas, and whether you feel you need to have that line of sight into that adoption.
Well, so we absolutely do. We spend a lot of time with third parties talking about what's going on in the finance community. Jack, you mentioned one of the things that we're experimenting with. It's a Microsoft product. It is getting, it is something that we're piloting at this point in time. But we spend a lot of time at conferences. We spend a lot of time with third parties monitoring what others are doing and how we may learn from them. I think that's so important. I believe AI, I believe AI is going to be a game changer for not just the insurance industry and the finance teams, but just more broadly. And we're trying to stay abreast of what's going on and make sure we leverage others' lessons learned. Live life lessons vicariously is something I've always learned through others, right? And we'll be monitoring that to make sure we're not missing something.